So I'd like to talk about the dome being psychic and reincarnation and how it's all related to being encased in this dome. Now, for those of you who aren't familiar with the dome is literally some sort of field, some sort of material that does not allow, that literally encases in the earth. There are high auroral projects and voyages and that sort of thing that has occurred, but there are plenty of examples of rockets going up and turning right back down because they can't get out of the dome. No one gets out of the dome. I've said this before, but the only way in or the only way out is to go in, and the only way in is to go out. So, yeah, it's interesting. But because we're all under this dome and encased in, and there's only a select amount of people that have the knowledge of knowing how to get out of here, which would be next to impossible even if you knew the routes, just because those pathways are heavily guarded and people aren't permitted to leave unless they have permission from the outer forces that guard these pathways. So, when people die here and all the terrible things that happen here, it goes up and it doesn't escape. So it's entrapped in this dome like a greenhouse effect. It's all just floating around in the ethers. This is why people reincarnate here that don't want to reincarnate here. This is how people who are very sensitive are able to pick up psychic information, because the thoughts of people and histories and things like that, it's all like in the ethers. It's in the ethers within the dome because it's all trapped in. All the energy, all the trauma, the thoughts, the this, the that, it's all trapped within this dome. I talked about in another video about how the sky, when we look up at the sky, we see the stars, that it's really just some advanced technology light show. It's like some sort of planetarium. That's why everything's always in the same position, or some things you see more than others, and so forth. And they know that what we're calling stars is actually like water droplets and how it's reflected, and some other things. I've seen the information previously, and you'd really just have to watch the information or read it to fully understand it. And it's not really that complicated, but like when we look up, we see stars, but even high auroral imagery does not show stars outside of the dome. It's just black. So we only see stars from the ground, and those that are in those high auroral vehicles don't see stars outside of the dome. So I believe that the dome is clear. So that's how people are reincarnating. And I think that when, during this period when people don't incarnate here, it's that they're just maybe have an option to just sit it out, and wait a while. But until they're able to leave the dome, they're always gonna be limited to reincarnating here. Now, if you're somebody that's not originally from this space, then I think it's different. There are people who aren't from here, who have lineage that isn't from here, and I think they're able to leave. But those who are dedicated here, or I think some of those people may be leaving. It may depend on how long you've been here, like how long you've been magnetized to this space. Will dictate whether you're incarnating here or not. But I think that that's really how it works with picking up psychic information. They're picking up information freely that's just sitting in the ethers because it can't escape. There's no venting, so it's just there, you know. What was the other thing? Psychics, reincarnation, yeah, and the dome. So I've said it before in other videos, the only way to get out of this biodome and to have access to others or even open space before you get to other domes is through the ocean ways. It's always been through the ocean ways. And there's always been trade that's going on between the different spaces, the different planetariums and or biodomes or plane teas or, you know, whatever you want to call them. There's always been trade of biological material and other material. And again, those pathways are heavily guarded by the world navies. You know, the Navy is the largest arm of the military. And this is why submarines, you know, are in place and have to be. You can never not have submarines as long as, you know, how else are you going to get intel from what's in the waters, what's coming through? So I used to think the most important piece of the Navy was, of course, the ships and some other aspects of it, but it's really what goes on underwater, you know. I made a video not too long ago, well, it was a while ago, about how I knew a Marine merchant and how they told me that they had to sign a non-disclosure agreement, and I thought that was interesting. And so I picked his brain, and he told me about a couple of the things that he saw out there that aren't supposed to exist, and he told me about what he's heard of other people seeing, and not just what you're seeing, but the anomalies, the shifting in time and in space that happens in some areas out in the water. And so, yeah, we live in an incredible space, but it's all encased with all this horrible energy. So so this world basically runs on dark, horrible, nasty energy, you know. There are millions of people, children mainly, that are harmed and brutalized and murdered regularly. We see this happening to animals. I call it the daily Holocaust for animals. Absolutely horrific and terrible things happening to animals and children, and all of the dark emotions and energies that are released from these traumatic and horrific events. They go up into the ethers, and they're trapped. And that's what helps to keep the space in such a low vibration. That's what helps to fortify this place as such a negative and fucked up place. We can feel that physically. The space, there's a direction of evolution, but the clog is the negativity, and these century-old practices of killing the innocent. So killing the innocent and defenseless, so that's the children and the animals, and also obviously like harming you know, the balanced and peaceful spaces of nature. It's another thing, like they just attack those spaces that are balanced, those things that are loving, that stay in cycle. Those things are attacked, they're harmed regularly. And so that kind of disruption and disturbance is what they use to keep this plane at a certain vibration. But that's largely what this space runs on, is really, really dark shit. Rituals and, you know, blood practices. I talked about that, you know, in my blood video. What is blood video? Is how people, low vibrational, like low frequency, unevolved people who use blood to bring in low frequency entities, because blood is a transit vehicle, because of the conductivity in copper. So they use it to bring in low vibrationals, and then that conscious entity may want that person to act out because, that's the frequency they're both on, and that's the frequency in which they brought that being into this reality. See, interdimensionality is really like the premise here. It's a big deal, more than what we are told. Interfacing with different beings from different dimensions is really like water. It's not complicated. It's not hard. It happens more frequently than what we realize. So bringing in a lower vibration into this dimension by using like a conductor like blood, and then having that entity say, hey, you need to do this for me because that's the level in which I'm on, and that's how I get down. That's my poison. I need you to go do this, and so that's what that's all about. And that's why I don't, that's what I tried to explain in that video. Most evolved beings, if you're here, you're living in this living hell, which it really is, no matter how good your life is or what you have, this is a living hell. If you're living here, I lost my train of thought, sorry. So most evolved beings do not need material aids to interface or interact with extra dimensionals, with spirit, with ETs, with squatches, or any of the cryptids on a psychic level or anything like that. They've evolved past the point of using materialism because they understand that they are themselves a frequency, they are themselves energy, and that these bodies are just vehicles. So they understand that very well, and then they start to operate on a level in which everything they do is mental, and they start to step back into their mental being self, which is what they were, which is consciousness before you come here, before you come into a vehicle or a body. So, so a lot of the blood magic, the blood worship, and using tools that can easily be hijacked by low frequency beings is a lot of what can happen. It's easy for it to happen, basically. And so I just wanted to make that point that you don't really need to get into super when you're getting into like practices or whatever. You don't really need a lot of people. You don't need congregations. You have to go in order to get out. If you want out of your paradigm, the situation that's going on, you have to go inward. And it's a beautiful voyage, But a lot of people that do dirt are afraid of their own shadows, so they hide behind religion, they hide behind people. They choose distractions, or they choose they choose other. So those that are on that journey, they'll understand, and eventually they'll get to that point where they realize that, they're going to be shedding their dependence on materialism. And that's both in your personal life and in your spiritual practices. When you get to the point where you can read without using any kind of divination tools. Divination tools are good for clarity because, readers are going to go through periods where, they may not have their spiritual team with them assisting them, like their dedicated spiritual team that's vetted. But generally, when you've evolved, you've gotten to that point, you're not even thinking about harming any delicate, such as an animal or anything. Like a lot of these these other disciplines encourage or use in practice. That's how you set yourself aside or set yourself apart from them, you know, when you're doing spiritual work. So again, you got to go in order to get out, you know. You have to go inside, whether that's dredging up and confronting past memories, past traumas, trying to get into, you know, even the paranormal memories that you have. You just got to do your self-work, you know. Take your time, do it at your pace, and you know, but you got to go in order to get out, in order to be free. And then you'll get, you know, an abundance of information and inspirations and memories coming back to you that are going to help you on your journey to more clarity and more deeper understanding, so that the moves that you make from then on out are really going to be prosperous and positively progressive. So with that, I'm going to end, and thanks for tuning in. We'll see you in the next video. Bye.